Harold cried the day he couldn't tie his own shoelaces, not because he forgot how, but because bending down had become too painful. His knees just wouldn't let him. "Is this it?" he thought. A man who once hiked Colorado trails at 60 now struggled just to get out of bed without holding onto the wall. Painkillers tore up his stomach. The cold cream didn't do much. And every evening, he stared at an old photo, he and his wife, walking hand in hand through a golden autumn park, a time that felt so far away. Then one day, his granddaughter, a young nutrition student, came to visit. "Grandpa," she said, "did you know some beans can actually help reduce joint inflammation?" He chuckled. "Beans? That's a new one." But he tried it. A week, then 2, then a month. Harold's story began with a warm bowl of lentil stew and root vegetables, and ended with him walking through that same autumn park, one slow step at a time. Have you ever experienced a small change that made a big difference in your joint pain? Or do you have a favorite food that seems to help your knees feel better? Share your story in the comments below, or simply tell us which bean you'd like to try first from today's list, because your words might just be the hope someone else is looking for. And if you believe that growing older still holds quiet miracles, subscribe to Elderly Wisdom Chronicles, where healing begins with understanding, and one heartfelt story at a time. Lentils, the humble bean that helped Harold walk again. Harold's first bowl of lentil stew wasn't planned. It was cold that afternoon, and his granddaughter, Sarah, wanted to cook something warm and healthy. She said, "Let's try lentils. They're cheap, full of fiber, and really good for inflammation." Harold shrugged, still unsure how something so simple could help knees that had hurt for years. But within a few weeks, he noticed something strange. His morning stiffness didn't last as long. His right knee, once the loudest complainer, felt just a bit quieter. Turns out, Sarah was right. Lentils are packed with anti-inflammatory nutrients that make them a quiet champion for joint health. They're rich in plant-based protein, magnesium, zinc, and iron, minerals that support healthy muscles and blood circulation around the joints. But their real magic lies in 2 key areas. 1. Polyphenols. These natural antioxidants in lentils help neutralize free radicals, which are linked to chronic inflammation and joint degeneration. 2. High fiber content. Several studies, including one published in the Journal of Nutrition, show that a high-fiber diet can lower C-reactive protein, CRP, a marker of inflammation associated with osteoarthritis. Dr. Sarah Brewer, a nutritionist and medical author in the UK, once said, "Lentils are an underrated superfood. Their ability to reduce systemic inflammation can play a small but powerful role in managing arthritis." In India, elderly villagers have long relied on a dish called dal, a spiced lentil soup simmered with turmeric, cumin, and garlic. These spices, when combined with lentils, create a potent anti-inflammatory meal that's both comforting and therapeutic. In Morocco, older generations enjoy harira, a tomato-lentil stew with fresh herbs, light on the stomach but rich in healing. Harold's version? Simple. 1 cup of red lentils, rinsed. Sauté a chopped onion, a carrot, a clove of garlic. Add the lentils, 4 cups of vegetable broth, a dash of turmeric, and let it simmer for 20 to 25 minutes. He'd sprinkle in a little black pepper and finish with fresh parsley. It became his daily healer. What's most beautiful about lentils isn't just their nutrients, it's that they're humble. No fancy packaging, no miracle labels, just an ancient food loved across cultures, doing quiet good in tired knees and stiff joints. Harold now calls it his walking soup, because each bowl brought him a little closer to the walking trail he thought he'd left behind forever. So if you've never tried lentils, maybe now is the time. Start with a small bowl, taste its warmth, and let your joints feel the gentle strength that comes from one of nature's most honest gifts. Soy to the world, this bean's got knees covered. Frank never liked tofu, He called it squishy nonsense, but after turning 74 and feeling like his knees were made of rusted hinges, he was ready to try anything. His neighbor, Mrs. Lin, a spry 82-year-old with zero complaints about joint pain, shared her secret. "Soy," she said, 3 times a week. In soup, in stir-fry, even in smoothies. My knees thank me every day. Turns out, soybeans are more than just a vegetarian protein. They contain isoflavones, powerful plant compounds that mimic estrogen, especially helpful for postmenopausal women suffering joint degeneration. According to a 2015 study published in Osteoarthritis and Cartilage, women who consumed 40 milligrams of soy isoflavones daily for 12 weeks reported significant reductions in knee pain and stiffness compared to those who didn't. But the benefits don't stop there. Soybeans are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, help reduce inflammation in joint tissues, calcium and magnesium, essential for bone strength and joint flexibility. Complete protein helps maintain the muscles that support aging knees. Fiber improves digestion and may reduce systemic inflammation. In Japan, centenarians in Okinawa often start their mornings with miso soup made from fermented soy. In Korea, elderly folks enjoy doenjang jjigae, a soybean paste stew rich in umami and anti-inflammatory properties. Frank started small. He couldn't do tofu yet, but he agreed to try soy milk in his oatmeal. Then he moved on to edamame, lightly salted and steamed. "Tastes better than I expected," he said. Soon, he was adding soft tofu to his vegetable soup. His pain? Less fire, more manageable, he said. And most importantly, I walk my dog twice a day again, without cursing my knees. Dr. Mark Messina, a leading researcher on soy nutrition, said, "Soy isoflavones appear to reduce inflammatory cytokines that play a role in joint damage. Incorporating soy into a senior's diet may be a simple, safe addition to arthritis care." If you're not sure where to begin, here are 3 easy options. Edamame, steam frozen soybeans, and sprinkle with sea salt. Perfect snack. Miso broth. Add a spoonful of miso paste to hot water, a few tofu cubes, and scallions. Smooth soy porridge. Blend soft tofu with oats, a banana, and cinnamon for a creamy breakfast. Frank now keeps a soy corner in his fridge. He jokes that tofu used to be his enemy. Now, it's his kneecap buddy. So if your joints feel like rusty doors, maybe it's time to let soy do a little oiling. Not a miracle, just one smart step on the road to moving freely again.
Little black beans, big joint relief. Martha was never a fan of beans. Too heavy, she'd say, pushing her plate aside. But after years of aching knees and restless nights, even the picky eaters start to listen. One evening at a church potluck, someone brought black bean soup. Simple, earthy, warm. Martha took a spoonful, then another. That night, for the first time in weeks, she slept through the night without waking to sharp knee pain. Black beans may look small, but they're rich in healing power. They're one of nature's best sources of plant-based antioxidants, especially anthocyanins, the same compound that gives blueberries their color, and anti-inflammatory benefits. These antioxidants help protect joint tissues from oxidative stress, which plays a key role in cartilage breakdown and arthritis flare-ups. Researchers from the University of Sao Paulo found that diets high in anthocyanins helped reduce biomarkers of inflammation in aging adults, especially those with early signs of osteoarthritis. Beyond their antioxidant strength, black beans also provide magnesium, a mineral critical for bone health and muscle relaxation. They contain folate and iron, supporting better circulation to the joints. And their high fiber content supports a healthy gut, which many scientists now link to lower systemic inflammation. In Mexico, abuelas have long made frijoles negros, slow-simmered black beans with garlic, onion, and cumin. It's not just comfort food, it's family medicine passed down for generations. In the Caribbean, older islanders drink black bean broth, seasoned simply with bay leaves, believing it cleanses the blood and calms the knees. Martha didn't turn into a bean lover overnight, but she asked her daughter to show her how to make that church potluck soup again. She used dried black beans soaked overnight, added diced carrots, celery, and garlic, then simmered the whole thing in low-sodium vegetable broth for 2 hours. The aroma filled her kitchen. The flavor filled her heart. She started calling it her nighttime tea. One warm bowl at dinner, and her knees didn't scream at midnight anymore. Dr. David Katz, founder of the True Health Initiative, once remarked, "Beans are nature's perfect food. Black beans, in particular, deliver anti-inflammatory benefits that can be deeply helpful for managing chronic pain conditions like arthritis." Martha now keeps a small pot on the stove almost daily. She may still prefer cookies over legumes, but when it comes to her knees, black beans have earned a permanent place on her plate. So if you're tired of tossing and turning, if you miss the quiet comfort of walking without wincing, perhaps it's time to give these little black gems a second look. You don't have to love beans. You just have to love what they do for you. Green gold for achy knees. Eleanor had always been skeptical of health fads. She called chia seeds bird food and refused to drink anything green. But there was one thing she never turned down: mung bean soup. Not because it was trendy, because it was what her mother made every time her joints flared up when she was a child. Years later, at 78, Eleanor found herself sitting by the window with a warm compress on each knee, whispering to herself, maybe Mom really knew something after all. Mung beans may be small, but their reputation in ancient healing traditions runs deep. In Ayurvedic medicine and traditional Chinese medicine, mung beans have long been prescribed to reduce heat and inflammation in the body. Modern science is catching up. A 2020 study published in Food and Function Journal found that mung beans contain high levels of flavonoids and phenolic acids, plant compounds shown to suppress the production of inflammatory cytokines that damage cartilage. These compounds not only help reduce joint swelling, but may also slow the progression of osteoarthritis when included as part of a consistent anti-inflammatory diet. Mung beans are also rich in vitamin C, which helps your body produce collagen, a vital protein for joint structure. They provide magnesium, which relaxes tense muscles around the knee. And because they're high in plant-based protein and fiber, they help stabilize blood sugar, reducing the metabolic stress that can worsen joint pain. In Vietnam, grandmothers often serve che dao san, a sweet mung bean pudding that's both nourishing and cooling. In India, khichdi, a soft stew of mung beans and rice, is the go-to recovery food for elders, known for calming both the stomach and the joints. Eleanor remembered the way her mother would gently simmer mung beans with a bit of ginger and onion, then mash them into a light, savory porridge. So she brought the memory back to life. Half a cup of dry mung beans, rinsed and soaked. A thumb of fresh ginger, minced. A small onion sautéed till golden. All slow cooked in water until tender and soft. No fuss, just warmth. She called it her healing bowl. And slowly she began to notice changes. She still had pain, but it didn't scream. It whispered, and on some days, it said nothing at all. Dr. Min Zhang from Shanghai University of Traditional Chinese Medicine once noted, "Mung beans reduce internal heat and inflammation. They are especially beneficial for elderly patients with chronic joint stiffness." Eleanor now makes a pot every Sunday. She says it helps her remember her mother, but more importantly, it helps her walk to the mailbox without holding the railing. So if you're searching for something gentle, natural, and deeply rooted in tradition, maybe this little green gem is your golden answer. Sometimes comfort doesn't come in a pill. It comes in a bowl, just like Mom used to make. The bean that loves your joints back. George never noticed that kidney beans looked like little hearts, not until his doctor told him he needed to start eating more foods that were good for his heart and his joints. He laughed. Well, I guess beans are shaped like love for a reason. But for George, it wasn't just about heart health anymore. His knees had started to betray him. He couldn't garden for more than 15 minutes without feeling like someone had twisted something inside. He missed the soil under his nails, the smell of tomatoes, the rhythm of digging. Then, one morning, while flipping through an old cookbook, he found his late wife's handwritten recipe for red bean chili. It made him smile and cry a little too. Kidney beans aren't just shaped like hearts, they behave like them too. They're loaded with potassium, which helps balance sodium and reduce fluid retention around swollen joints. They also contain molybdenum, a lesser-known mineral that helps detoxify enzymes that can aggravate joint inflammation. Their deep red color comes from proanthocyanidins, powerful antioxidants that protect cartilage and slow degenerative damage in aging joints. A 2018 study in Clinical Interventions in Aging found that diets rich in dark red legumes helped reduce markers of oxidative stress and improved joint mobility in older adults over a 12-week period. In Louisiana, older Creole cooks prepare red beans and rice every Monday. Not just tradition, but recovery food. In Central America, kidney beans are mashed with garlic and onion into hearty stews that elderly farmers swear give them strength from the knees up. George followed the recipe. He soaked the kidney beans overnight, slow-cooked them with chopped bell peppers, celery, tomatoes, and a dash of cumin. It filled the house with the smell of something warm, something remembered. He took one bite and closed his eyes. "It tastes like her," he whispered. Within weeks, George noticed something strange. His knees still ached, but he could kneel in the dirt longer. He could reach for the stubborn weeds. He could get lost in his garden again, not in pain, but in peace. Dr. Karen Collins, a registered dietitian with the American Institute for Cancer Research, once explained, kidney beans are one of the most nutrient-dense legumes. Their antioxidants not only protect cells, but may reduce chronic inflammation that worsens arthritis. Now, George keeps a bowl of cooked kidney beans in his fridge. He adds them to soups, salads, even his scrambled eggs. And when his grandkids ask why, he says, "Because these little hearts are helping me keep mine and my knees ticking a little longer." Sometimes love doesn't come from roses. It comes from beans. And when your joints are aching for kindness, maybe it's time to let kidney beans love you back. The knee-friendly snack Grandma swears by. Joanne kept a little jar of roasted chickpeas in her purse, next to her tissues, next to her peppermint lozenges, always there like a quiet friend. She called them her knee candies, because ever since she added chickpeas to her daily routine, her knees had started behaving like they were a decade younger. She could walk the aisles at the grocery store again without clutching the cart like a walker. It all started after a doctor's visit. Her rheumatologist had gently suggested more anti-inflammatory foods, especially legumes, he said, like chickpeas. They're easier on digestion and packed with joint-friendly nutrients. Joanne did her own digging. She discovered that chickpeas are rich in manganese, a trace mineral that plays a vital role in building cartilage and supporting joint lubrication. They're also high in vitamin B6, which helps reduce levels of homocysteine, an amino acid linked to increased inflammation and joint pain in older adults. Chickpeas offer a healthy dose of plant-based protein, supporting muscle strength around weak knees. Their fiber helps maintain gut health, which, as new research shows, may be linked directly to systemic inflammation and autoimmune issues like rheumatoid arthritis. A 2017 study from the University of Saskatchewan found that participants who consumed chickpeas regularly saw a reduction in C-reactive protein, CRP, a key marker for inflammation, over the course of just 8 weeks. In the Middle East, chickpeas are revered in dishes like hummus and falafel, often paired with garlic and olive oil, both natural anti-inflammatories. In India, older adults sip on chana dal soups made from split chickpeas simmered with turmeric, and ginger. Joanne wasn't much of a cook, but she found a simple way to enjoy them. She drained canned chickpeas, patted them dry, tossed them with a drizzle of olive oil, a pinch of paprika, and roasted them in the oven until crisp. Crunchy, nutty, satisfying, and best of all, no knee swelling the next day. She even gave them to her bridge group. One friend said, "These are better than potato chips." Another whispered, "And I don't feel like I need to ice my knees after eating them." Dr. Carla Prado, a researcher in aging nutrition, noted, "Chickpeas are a gentle, nourishing way to support joint health. Their nutrient profile makes them an ideal food for older adults managing inflammation." Now Joanne carries that little jar wherever she goes. She shares it with strangers in waiting rooms. And when people ask why, she smiles and says, "Because I believe small snacks can do big things, especially for creaky knees." Sometimes the best medicine doesn't come with a child-proof cap. It comes with a crunch, and maybe a wink from grandma. Peas and quiet for your joints. Walter used to hate peas. Too mushy, too green, too boring. He would push them to the side of his plate every Thanksgiving, every Sunday roast. Until one spring morning, his granddaughter brought him a bowl of pea soup and said, "Try this, Grandpa. It might just help your knees stop yelling at you." At 81, Walter's knees had a lot to say. They cracked, they popped, and sometimes they howled. He couldn't kneel in the garden, couldn't climb his porch steps without wincing. But he took one bite, then another. It was smooth, warm, and surprisingly comforting. Green peas, though often overlooked, are surprisingly rich in anti-inflammatory nutrients. They contain vitamin K, which helps regulate bone metabolism and reduce the risk of osteoarthritis. They're also full of vitamin C and E, both known to protect cartilage cells from oxidative damage. More importantly, peas provide a unique compound called coumestrol, a type of phytonutrient that has shown anti-inflammatory properties in lab studies. Researchers at the University of Mexico found that regular consumption of green peas was associated with reduced joint swelling and improved mobility in elderly patients with early-stage osteoarthritis. Peas also support muscle function with their supply of B vitamins and protein, and they help maintain a healthy weight, which reduces pressure on tired knees. In England, older generations still enjoy pea mash, a humble side dish served with fish or roasted meats. In Scandinavia, warm pea porridge is a winter staple, especially among older folks who say it keeps the joints moving in the cold. Walter learned to make it himself. He used a bag of frozen peas, simmered them with half an onion, a bit of garlic, and low-sodium vegetable broth. After a gentle boil, he blended the mixture into a thick soup and added a splash of lemon juice for brightness. He called it his quiet bowl. Because after lunch, his knees didn't scream as loud, and sometimes they didn't say a word at all. He still chuckled every time he saw a pile of peas. "Who knew these little green guys were keeping me out of the wheelchair?" he'd say. Dr. Emily Ho, a nutrition scientist at Oregon State University, once shared, "Green peas are nutrient-dense and gentle on digestion, making them ideal for seniors looking to manage inflammation naturally." Walter now grows a small patch of peas in his backyard. He says they remind him that healing can be soft, green, and silent. No drama, no noise, just steady progress. So the next time you hear your knees complaining, maybe what they really want is a little peace and quiet. Conclusion. 7 beans, 7 quiet stories of healing, not through magic pills or cutting-edge surgeries, but through simple meals, warm bowls, family recipes, and one small change at a time. Harold found his stride again with lentils. Frank made peace with tofu. Martha slept through the night thanks to black beans. Eleanor rediscovered her mother's wisdom in mung beans. George tasted memory and relief in a pot of kidney chili. Joanne shared her knee candy with friends at Bridge Club. And Walter? He finally stopped pushing peas off his plate and started pushing pain out of his life. Maybe you saw a little bit of yourself in one of their stories. Maybe you've been searching for something small but meaningful to help you take back your steps. Not every solution comes in a bottle. Sometimes it comes in a garden, or a spoon, or a family recipe card that's been waiting quietly in a drawer. If you're still listening, I invite you to do something simple. Pick one bean, just one. Try it for a week. Add it to your soup, your salad, your rice, or even your snack bowl. Then, listen to your knees, to your energy, to your story as it quietly shifts. And if something changes, even just a little, come back here. Share it in the comments, because your voice may be the encouragement someone else needs to begin. At Elderly Wisdom Chronicles, we believe healing is not about fixing what's broken. It's about nourishing what's still whole. It's about stories like yours. And it's about believing that even in our later chapters, we still have the power to turn the page. So, which bean will you start with? Let's write the next part of your story together.